They say time heals everything. But what if someone chooses to erase you? My name is Ryan Carter, and 3 months ago, I lost my girlfriend. Not to death, but to her memories. And when she looked into my eyes and asked, "Who are you?" I realized I wasn't ready for the answer. I met Willow Hart 5 minutes after a stranger told me I'd never matter. I was bussing tables between stalled auditions when the TV over the bar cut to exclusive Willow Hart's secret affair. A paparazzi shot, Willow in a parking garage, eyes down, some guy's arm in frame, cropped to imply a kiss. I'd seen enough edits to know what they did. Zoom, tilt, lie. My phone buzzed with an unknown number. A woman's voice, crisp. "Evan Reyes, Cass Parker, Willow Hart's manager. We need your help." In Cass's office, the air smelled like printer toner and decisions. Willow sat by the window, sunlight throwing a clean blade over her face. In person, the famous composure looked like armor that fit perfectly because she'd bled to tailor it. Cass slid a folder across the table. "This stays between us. Willow's ex, Jace Wilder, is feeding a narrative. Erratic, unfaithful, expensive. We neutralize with something simple. A boyfriend arc. Someone believable. Kind-eyed and not threatening." I looked at Willow. She looked back like a judge who's also the jury. "You did a chemistry read," Willow said. 3 years ago. Indie film. You made the camera fall in love with your silence. Then why didn't I get it?" "You were too real," she said. "The director was afraid you'd make his lead look like he was acting." I laughed because if I didn't, it would sound like crying. Cass put a contract by my elbow. 3 months. Appearances, socials, a few orchestrated, spontaneous moments. Protective detail included. Compensation, "I'm not selling my name," I said. "You'd be lending your heart," Willow said, and then softer. "Only on camera." I signed. Training was ridiculous and specific. Cass's team drilled me on tabloid pressure points. Paparazzi will yell garbage. Your job is to be boring about it. Never flinch at flash. Blink offbeat, look past the lens. Body language beats captions. Step half a shoe behind her so the internet reads you as support. Not possession. Willow coached me like an athlete coaches a body that's been asleep. "This is where you put your hand on my lower back, for pacing only. Smile with your eyes, not your teeth. Teeth is performative. Eyes make them wonder." When I nailed the rhythm, she nodded. "You're good at this." "I'm good at pretending I'm not terrified," she smiled, small. "Welcome to the job." Our first appearance was at a charity gala. The gold felt expensive in a way humility never touches. Willow wore white because it reads as truth on camera. I wore black to make her glow. On cue, a whisper gusted across the carpet. "Is that Willow's boyfriend?" We moved like choreography. Glide, pause, look. I became a geometry problem with a heartbeat. At the step and repeat, a reporter said, "Evan, what's Willow like off camera?" I thought of the parking garage photo, of edits that hurt. "She's the same," I said. "That's the point." Willow glanced at me, surprised. Later, in the car, she said, "You weren't supposed to speak." "Yeah," I said. "But he asked about you like you were a role he invented." Her mouth tugged, not a smile. "Something more dangerous. Don't make a habit of rescuing me. It confuses the narrative. The narrative is a bully." "I'm not sorry." Silence sat between us like a cat that had chosen a lap. She watched the city slide by and said very quietly, "Thank you." The internet's mood swung like weather. Day 2, who is Evan Reyes? Day 5, edits of me opening doors, Willow laughing, boyfriend energy compilation. Day 7. Jace Wilder posted a photo of a sunset with the caption, "Some people burn bridges and call it sunrise." Fans fought like cities on fire. Cass's phone was a siren. She brought me to a talk show to control the blaze. The host played the garage photo and tilted her head. "Willow, are you in love?" Willow's mouth opened, the practiced answer rising. I spoke first. "She doesn't owe you a confession to earn dignity." The audience made that sound people make when someone names a pressure out loud. The host blinked. Willow's gaze flicked to me, then to the camera. She didn't smile. She didn't have to. On the drive back, Cass said, "You just won us 2 weeks apiece." Willow didn't speak. She just took my hand where the tinted window couldn't see and squeezed once. Hard. 2 weeks was what we got. Then a glossy invite landed in our laps. Hearts Unfiltered. Live Reality Special. The network offered a donation to Willow's charity, big enough to buy silence from 5 newspapers. Jace had already signed on as a surprise mentor. I knew a trap when I smelled gasoline. "We can decline," I said. Willow stared at the invite like it had personally wronged her. "We won't hide." That night in the dark outside her townhouse, I asked, "Do you ever get to be alone?" She said, "Only when it costs too much." I wanted to tell her I understood. Instead, I said, "If they come for you tomorrow, they get me first." For the first time, she looked scared in a way that had nothing to do with cameras. "Don't be brave for me," she said. "Be honest." The studio dressed itself in confetti and knives. We walked out to a live audience that sounded like a storm with good seats. The host beamed. "Love is in the air." She introduced Jace like a returning king. He hugged the applause and sat across from us, eyes hungry. "Willow," he said, "you look happy. Different. Almost honest." He let the word curdle. "Evan, how does it feel dating a myth?" "Like being trusted with something true," I said. He smirked. "Let's test that truth." He snapped his fingers. A monitor lit up with a timeline. Photos, headlines, timestamps, a history built to look like math. Shared premieres. Overlapping flights. He leaned in. "Isn't it cute? All the times Willow was alone, and coincidentally with you." I felt the floor tilt. Cass had warned us about the timeline trick. Rearrange sequence, imply sin. My throat tightened. The host inhaled, ratings. Willow's jaw flexed. I stood. "Can we try something novel?" I said, voice steady. "No edits. No edits tonight." I turned to the audience. "I'm an actor who hasn't earned the room you gave me this month." "She has. She earned it when you weren't watching." The nights she left set at 3 a.m. and still FaceTimed a kid in a hospital because she said she would. The day she took a pay cut so a crew member's healthcare would clear. The morning she stood in a parking garage and didn't cry while a stranger made a lie look like a kiss. The room went still. Cameras hummed like insects waiting to choose a flower. "This is the part," I said, "where I say I'm her boyfriend, so you'll forgive her for being human." But that's the trick, right? You want women to turn love into receipts. You want men to claim them like purchase orders. Here's my truth. I like her. I respect her. I want her happy. If that's me, I'll be grateful. If it isn't, I'll still clap. I sat. My hands shook. Willow stared like I'd spoken a language she hadn't heard since childhood. Jace laughed, brittle. "What a speech." "Cass wrote that?" Willow turned to face him fully for the first time. "No," she said softly. "I did." She took my hand and laced our fingers like a decision. "With edits," the audience erupted. The host's eyes glittered with salvation. Somewhere, a social media manager fainted with joy. The next morning, Lena Cruz's show ran the headline, "Not a receipt, a respect. Evan Reyes breaks the internet." Bookings doubled for me overnight. Apologies filled Willow's inbox, some from names that used to sell ad space on her blood. We should have coasted. Instead, Willow disappeared. Her townhouse went dark. Cass said, "Space. She needs to turn her phone off and remember her face without a filter." She put a hand on my shoulder. "If you go after her now, it's about you. If you wait, it's about her." I waited 2 days. On the third, I walked to the only quiet place I knew she loved, the planetarium that played movies for people who remembered the sky. I bought a ticket and sat in the dark until the stars turned themselves on. She slid into the seat beside me halfway through Jupiter. We didn't speak until Saturn was kind enough to look like a ring. "I'm tired of being a story someone else controls," she said. "I'm not here to write it," I said. "I'm here to listen," she exhaled. "When you defended me on live TV, I didn't want to kiss you because you were brave. I wanted to kiss you because you told the room I didn't need to be owned to be loved." "That wasn't a line," I said. "I know." She swallowed. "So let's stop pretending, Reyes. I hired you to be a lie. Somewhere in the middle, I wanted you to be my truth. Contracts can end," I said. "Choices don't have to." In the darkness, her hand found mine. No lens, no strategy, just warmth, choosing warmth. We ended the contract on paper and began something without a name. We still appeared in public, carefully, because the world is more patient with a scandal than with a woman happy on her own terms. Jace sent a bouquet with a note. "Congrats on the performance." Willow sent it to a clinic with a donation in his name. Cass framed the receipt. Months later, the studio that hosted Hearts Unfiltered asked us back for a "Where are they now?" stunt. Cass said, "It's your call." The planetarium ceiling had taught us both to like quiet. But we went. The host grinned at the camera. You two caused a cultural reset. We two paid our phone bills, I said. Laughter softened the room. Willow, the host asked. Is he your boyfriend? Willow met my eyes. No armor, no edits. He is, she said and squeezed my hand. A signal we'd invented that meant this is ours, not theirs. Then she turned to the audience. But that's not the headline. The headline is, I'm enough without him, and I choose him anyway. The applause sounded like a door opening. After, in the parking garage where a lie once tried to write her life, we stood by my 12-year-old Civic because I'm still me and fancy cars make me itchy. She tucked a curl behind my ear. You know the worst part? What? She kissed me soft and unafraid. Let's start a new one. And for once a camera did flash from somewhere in the shadows. Of course it did. But the photo that trended the next morning didn't look like a scandal. It looked like two people who had learned the trick nobody sells in a seminar. The difference between owning and honoring. The caption that beat the hashtags was just 3 words. Posted from Willow's account under the starriest sky Los Angeles had left. No more edits.